Hey there, YouTube friends. maskedbandit here, and welcome to the workshop Workbench, where today we are making two items that you can put in your parks because you can find these on the Frontier Workshop. I figured that whenever I decided to do this, it would be a good idea to record it and talk you through it, and then, just maybe you can find some good hints on how to build your own little things like this. Because this is really what makes parks, to me, come to life. Little items like this, little knickknacks, little things that aren't included in the game that just push that realism up to another level. And that being said, the first thing we're working on is an ice cream cart, the portable ice cream cart. This ice cream cart is obviously a Gelato Bros in-game, but in reality, it is actually an IP that I created for Planet Coaster 1, our Bro Coaster series, and it's called TFB, which stands for the Tiny Frozen Balls. Because what is Dippin' Dots if not little tiny frozen balls of ice cream? Why are you snickering? I don't know what's so funny about that. But anyway, this was my first opportunity to use these awesome counter pieces that came in Planet Coaster 2, and they are such a godsend. We don't have to hide those awful giant boxes anymore, and we can make little carts like this functional and plop them anywhere we want on the paths. That is so exciting, and I can't wait to make all kinds of these because we had all kinds of awesome brands in the Bro Coaster series, our Broverse. On Bro Nation, we have all kinds of awesome IPs that we've created. We have Mind Gluten, which is a pretzel store, Pucker Up, we have Brobecue and Nitro energy drinks, just so many different kinds. Red Lines, Red Hots, and we want to bring all of those over into Planet Coaster 2 for you to enjoy and use in your park, just for some variety. Because as amazing as the Planet Coaster 2 brands are, it's fun. Variety is the spice of life. We even have our very own Coca-Cola knockoff called Fizz Whiz, and that dates all the way back to Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 and my good buddy Mike Sheets and his project CPG. So as we're building here, very simple build here. This is lots of plaster pieces, art shapes, a couple skinny beams, and basically a light, and then a canvas, and of course our good friend the screen mount. It really came together surprisingly quickly. Again, because these are actually functional, we just have to decorate them. We don't have to put in extra tons of pieces to create things like all the condiments and the ice cream and all that. That's already there for us, so that's super cool. So we are using the scale tool here to make sure that our cover is working efficiently, and then making sure that it all makes sense, that the support structure we've given for this shade is actually holding it up, and that meant having to raise the beams up a bit, and even just a little bit more here so that we can make sure that our peep is just fine. After the shape of the building was in, it was time to decorate and give it that quintessential TFB charm. And what better way to do that than have an ice cream cone with 2 scoops of blueberry or blue raspberry, your choice, ice cream. And that's all this is supposed to be. Actually, the scale tool here was really cool to have 2 of the same shape. To create that white line, I just scaled it up ever so, and since the background was white as well, it created that separation that is actually really good. The rest of the detail on this are directly stolen from the Dippin' Dots cart that I was looking at while I built it, including the bright colors and all that stuff. The last bit of detail that we add to the shop here is some signage. We use both the fonts and the in-game signs, which are just amazing. Still figuring out all the cool things they can do. But yeah, we have our TFB, I love teal, so we're going to color it teal. And then we are going to add a couple more little tags onto the structure here. I'm going to go ahead and let this finish up, and then you'll see it all completed, and I'll be back at the start of our second build for today's episode. Here's the TFB in all its glory. You can find it on the workshop now. And then the second thing we built today is a wall sign for Bandit IPA, another brand that I created, oh boy, way back in I think 2017. It was part of the Bro Coaster series, and it's kind of an homage to myself as a lover of craft beer and of craft IPAs. I decided to create a little raccoon as the mascot for this brand of craft beer that is sold in many of my projects. Because once I make a sign that works pretty well, I just want to reuse it, because why work harder when you can work smarter? And it kind of creates all the same, it puts all of your projects in the same universe. So wall signage is a really fun thing to do. I love making custom signs with art shapes and other tiny pieces. It was something that I did a pretty good job with, if I do say so myself, back in Original Planet Coaster. Like I recreated the Bubba Gump Shrimp Company sign for my pier project. All kinds of cool stuff. A bunch of different custom fonts using itty bitty slivers of art shapes. The issue is it's a really complicated process, and scaling actually makes things quite a bit easier. I wish we could scale them down even further. Rumor has it there's a mod out there that lets you do that, but I'm not going to be dabbling in that, and especially not here in this series, where my intention is to put these out for everyone to use. I want everyone to be able to use these the same way, and if you didn't have the scaling mod, it would revert to its original size. So we're just going to not bother with it. Eyeballs were a little small here, couldn't really scale them up, so I just duplicated them 3 times to create a bigger circle for the eyeballs. Here we are adding the top of his little skull, and this pretty much is the process, just nesting layers of art shapes, leaving a couple pixels in between each layer so that certain things stick out while other things are hidden. It's not a difficult process, it's a tedious process, and sometimes concessions need to be made based on what shapes we have versus what we need. There are more in-depth tricks you can do to get closer and better results, but I did not want to spend 2.5 hours building this cute little sign. One of the things you see me doing is deleting pieces quite frequently because I can't reach the pieces right behind them because of the hitboxes. That is a technique you can use as well. If you can't reach a piece, delete the things around it, and then when you finally do select the piece you want to use, Control Z back until all those pieces come back. I mean, you can do it, 20 or 30 times? As far back as the undo memory has in the game, which is at least 30. I think maybe even 50. I'm not sure. But anyway, that is how we are getting access to some of these pieces that we're having a really hard time grabbing. So we're making his little tongue stick out because he just loves his IPA. And once again, we're going to let this go because after the raccoon is done, we add a little arm, we add some signage, and the same techniques as you saw in the previous build of this episode. Lots of font work. Font is, I think, kind of that little chef's kiss. If you can do fun things with the font, I really do think it sets your signs a bit above and beyond. Don't be afraid to make each letter of your sign a different sign, and that way you can play with sizes and fonts and really create something unique there. So here we are adding some nails to the little raccoon. There we go, to show that this is a hand and not a giant finger. But yeah, I'm gonna let this play, and I'll be back at the end to show you how it looks in situation in a little mock-up park. here's a look at the finished products, our Bandit IPA and our Tiny Frozen Balls cart. You can find these on the workshop right now. I hope you enjoyed. And if you did, hit the like button and consider subscribing. Take care, everyone, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.